I am, admittedly, obsessed with cleaning records. And when you see what I go through to clean my records, you're going to think I'm insane. And I can't disagree with you. Now, my obsession kicked off fairly recently. I'd say maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And it started when I took a hard look at record cleaning machines, both manual ones and automatic ones. Machines like the Spin Clean and the Record Doctor 6. Then there are automatic solutions which include Ultrasonics and the Record Doctor 10. Now, what really made me, I would say, realize the importance of getting the gunk out of the groove was my experience with Perfect Vinyl Forever. The records that were cleaned by Steve in his process came out sounding better than the day I bought them. Now, how is that possible? How can you clean a record and make it sound better than it was when it was new? Well, it's because of the manufacturing process. The manufacturing process does leave a bit of residue in the groove, and that's what you want to work to get out. Now, my process that you're going to see today has been evolving, and I'm sure it will continue to evolve. And this is not, and I stress this, not a prescription for what I think you should do. This is just to show you what I do so that you can laugh at me. And it all starts right here. Now, this is a table we picked up at IKEA, and these are wooden discs I made to put the records on for the first step. And I made a few of these, maybe 6 or 7 little wooden dowels and such. And this comes from the Project VCE2. It is a record vacuum machine that I pretty much don't use anymore. It's kind of loud, actually a little bit too loud, and it never really got all of the fluid off of a record. I had to run it for a long time to do so. So now I just use this. And this right here is a surfactant and detergent. It's a mix of distilled water and a very tiny amount of Liquinox Alkanox. That's an industrial grade detergent. So on to step 1. Now I let this sit right here because it contains a surfactant, and that detergent gets into the groove and, like I said, loosens up anything that may be hiding there. And while that sits, I get things ready over here. Now these are the 2 Humming Guru machines I own. Both of them are ultrasonic cleaners, and one contains a mix of distilled water and Ilfitol. This one right here. Ilfitol is another surfactant, and the other one just contains distilled water, and that's going to be for the final rinse. Now here's a neat little trick I discovered, and I do wonder if this was by design. Yeah, it probably was. And then I run a degas cycle on both machines. Why? Well, I'm glad you asked. Water, distilled water, contains gases in it. And the way cavitation works is it creates little microscopic bubbles that when they burst, they pretty much just shoot this jet of fluid into the groove to dislodge anything that might be, in the groove. Now, if there's too much air in the water, the cavitation cannot do its job efficiently. So what the degas cycle does is it shakes up the water so it gets all the air out. At least in theory, that's what it's supposed to do. So while that is going on, the detergent that I put in the records is hopefully doing its job, working its magic and softening up anything that may be hidden there in the groove. So when the machines are done with the degas cycle, it's on to step 2. So now it's time to vacuum up any of the crud and the oils that the detergent loosened up. And this is where the Record Doctor 10 comes in. And this one is my favorite machine. And I really need a second one of these. And you'll see why in just a moment when we get to another step, 2 steps away. When all of the detergent has been sucked away, it's then into the first humming guru for step 3. And this one contains distilled water and a tiny amount of Ilfitol. Ilfitol's also a surfactant. Just like with the alkanox that I used in the very first step, that detergent, Ilfitol allows the cavitation bubbles to do their work in the groove by breaking the surface tension. And you'll see the difference in what I mean by breaking the surface tension when we get to the rinse cycle. So we now have to suck up the fluid, which contains the Ilfitol and anything else that was dislodged from the record and that might still be there. Step 4 is my least favorite step, and this is why someday I'd love to add another Record Doctor 10 to the equation. I could go back to the Record Doctor 10 for this step, but when I'm cleaning a few records, which I usually am, and I have that timing down, there's usually another record already on the Record Doctor 10. So I use my good old Record Doctor 6 that I bought a number of years ago. It works great, I love it, but it's manual, which is why it's my least favorite step. And I also use a microfiber cloth to wipe the edge. Now, why do I do that step? Well, it's because I'm weird. I don't want to contaminate the distilled water with any Ilfitol that might be on the edge of the record. So yeah, I know it's a little obsessive, but it only takes a couple of seconds to wipe it off. And that way I know no Ilfitol or trace amounts aren't getting into that distilled water rinse. Now remember the surfactant from step 3? I don't know if you can see this, but this is what it looks like without the surfactant. It's just beating up on the surface. It's not breaking that surface tension. And then it's back to the Record Doctor 10, the final step, to remove that distilled water that was from the rinse. I'll typically put 5 to 6 records through this process, and it takes maybe 20 to 30 minutes. It's really not for the squeamish. And when that's complete, it's on to the rack. Afterwards, each record goes into an anti-static sleeve, and they're ready to spin. And then I record when it was cleaned, and I'm done. And sorry, this app that I'm using, it's not available for purchase on the App Store. It's one I made for my own personal use, and I just use it to keep track of my collection. So am I prescribing this process for you? Well, like I said at the beginning, absolutely not. But this is going to constantly evolve, and I can't scale back at this point, only because the records come out sounding so damn good, even better in some cases than the day I bought them and first cleaned them. Now I'm telling you, just buy a spin clean. That's a great machine. I used a spin clean for years. You could actually buy 2, have a surfactant in one, and then distilled water in the other one for a rinse cycle. Now I receive a lot of emails about my process, so that's why I wanted to do this video. And if you check back in another year from now, I probably will have tweaked it a little bit more. Hopefully added another Record Doctor 10 so I don't have to do the manual turning with a Record Doctor 6 because I don't want to. And really, that's about it. If you found this information helpful, please like and subscribe. I also have a newsletter, comes out weekly. I'll put a link in the description. So until next time, thank you for watching and this craziness, and I'll see you soon. Enjoy your records. Bye.